Well, welcome. Glad to have you into our panel today, where we're going to be talking about interactive and shoppable content. My name is Krista Moon. I am the owner of a sales and marketing agency called Ascend Business Growth. We're a HubSpot Gold partner, which, if you were listening to the last panel, I heard a little bit, but they were talking a lot about technology and capabilities. And so, yes, I help companies use HubSpot to reach all of their sales and marketing goals. But so today, we signed up for this because we're all into helping our content perform better. That's 100%, I can say for sure. And what we're going to do, we're going to start off, we're going to have everybody introduce themselves, and I would like you to share from your perspective what you feel shoppable content is, because I don't know that that's a super popular term at this time, but it's definitely becoming more and more popular. So let's start with Karna, and she's going to introduce herself and share what she thinks about shoppable content.
Hello, everyone. Is this on? Oh. Hello, everyone. My name is Karna Richardson. Like she said, my background is pretty much in UX design, and I'm also a professor, which I teach in information technology. And so, I'm back and forth mentoring students, and I have a couple of mentees that I mentor on the job as a UX design manager. And so today, I didn't know anything about the topic until I actually looked it up. So I was like, oh, well, let me put it in ChatGPT and see what comes up for shoppable content. And so what I learned was that it's basically about you just kind of like click on, you're looking at a video, and right in the video, you can click on a particular button or something like that, and you can purchase something right then and there. So that's what, I kind of like got my gist of it. But
Hello. Hey, I'm Anthony Cacciapoli, principal and founder of Cacciapoli Consulting Group. My background is actually in advertising technology, data, and identity. What shopping or shoppable content means to me, or at least into our industry, is basically anything that can get a more valuable, more value exchange from your consumer while also benefiting. So if you look at a lot of even news publications, for instance, you'll see a lot more e-com being put on their site just so they can actually get more revenue or more revenue streams. And in that sense, basically shoppable content is, how do I get the user to engage with my content in a more meaningful way that not only gets them coming back, but also leads to more money? So yeah, that's it in a nutshell.
Hello. Hi, everybody. My name is Leonardo Barcelli. I'm owner of Young and Hungry, a digital marketing agency. I have a master's in digital marketing and performance. So everything we do in my agency is pretty much engagement to try to make a conversion. All the clients we do, we work with the e-commerce and try to engage and make their brand grow on the digital space. So basically, for us, engagement and turning to conversion is everything we do on social media, Pinterest, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, X, everything there. We try to make an engagement for people, for clients to go to the website or even buy something or turn into a lead. So that's pretty much what we do, and that's what I think it is.
Hello, everyone. My name is Nathaniel Halford. I'm actually a founder of two different companies. One is an event company here in Las Vegas, and the other is a recruiting company that does automation and recruiting. You can think of it as just a three-step process to getting a job. The first step is upload your resume. The second step is fill out a few questions. The third step is you just keep iterating on your interview process over and over and over again until you get a job. And basically the way that works is it's utilizing artificial intelligence to figure out what you're actually saying within that call that's actually screwing you up. And then it's looking at all your different facial movements, it's looking at your inclination of your voice, and it's also just figuring you out and retraining. And as far as the other company goes, that is a new concept here in Vegas. It's called, I like to call it immersive wedding events. So what it is, it's an event that you can get married within that has a storyline. You're actually getting kind of married into a movie set. So it's pretty much kind of magical. once you get in. So we're working on 2 different events right now. The first one is called Beauty and the Fright, and what it is, it's a werewolf story, love gone wrong. And the other one is basically, it's kind of like Cinderella, but Cinderella meets time traveler. So it's like a time traveling princess that has to get married before the portal opens and takes her. Yeah.
Can you do this with people's actual wedding? But it's there are people that are getting married, and you're making their wedding into these stories.
Yeah, so we choose different common themes. Like the first common theme is like Cinderella, fantasy. And what we do is we build all the cinematography, everything with AI, and then we pretty much sell tickets. We work with the big production companies, and then they make it. So we come up with the story, design it, do all the artwork, do all the cinematography, actually cinematic short clips. And then a production company comes in that does films, and then they actually produce it. So when you get on set, you're actually entering in a movie. So, yeah, we're just getting ready to launch 2 different events this year. And the reason why you'd like to get married in this format is basically because it brings thrill back. For example, The Beauty and the Fright, that's pretty much about her ex is a werewolf, and he turned himself into a werewolf to be with her, but then she's like, I don't want to be with you. And then basically, it's kind of like you get into the story, and then once you're into the story, you can really have a different type of event because you can utilize that event to get married in, or you can just really like the story. I mean, how many people have gone to like Harry Potter and you really like the story, so you go to an event? So it's the same concept.
Let's
That's
go.
quite
Yeah.
interesting. I'm Hervi. I am the CEO and co-founder of a marketing agency based in Dubai, Middle East. And it looks into, we've got clients in hospitality and the F&B industry. We also look into marketing for retail, tech, and other brands as well. I think the topic today is something that we deal with on an extensive basis, considering that from marketing point of view, we've got to reach out to people, but until unless it doesn't end up converting, we keep getting the questions, what is marketing doing at the end of the day, right? So it's an integral part of what we do, and I think we can move forward.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing. So let's go ahead. Let's talk about some examples of what does shoppable content mean, because we're all out here, we're creating content for our companies. That's a whole conversation in and of itself. What content should you create? But how, talk to me about what kind of content to create to make it shoppable or engaging. Anybody want to jump in on that?
Yeah, can you show, I have a video that I think it'll be better to show that. I don't know if you guys have seen that. So basically this is a fashion brand. What we try to create here is engagement content. Right now is happening in the Paris Fashion Week. So we have people there shooting this, and this is happening right now. We try to create this content that is engagement content. We're not trying to sell anything right now. We're just trying to bring people attention that what's happening in Paris. Our products is gonna be there for this brand. We are having a lot of influencers showing this product through social media. So basically, we're trying to engage as much as people as we can during these 10 days, and then after those 10 days, we're gonna have those products online to people buy it. So right now, we're just trying to engage with videos, with reels, with carousels on Instagram, and then for on Monday, we're gonna have email marketing running for those people that are being they're on a database, and also for everyone that's actually engaged with our content, can be a like, see the post, comment, or anything like that. We're gonna retarget them and show them an ad and make sure they buy one of the products. And we're also using the influencers to make the buzz and show them our products. So this is how we usually do it for the brand. So we first create this in a lot of content put out there, and then we try to convert that on social media. This is one of examples that we use, and then the other one, if we're not gonna do this content, this is a brand. Can you show the second video, please? if we're not gonna do it, something like this, this is a big brand, and you know they can go to Paris and we can shoot that. But if the brand doesn't have too much money, you cannot do anything. Then we go for something that we try to use the social media, put the shopping cart right there, so you can actually click on post and buy, go straight to the website. Make sure those. This is not an ad. This is how we usually on the feed. After this, again, people that actually click on that buy button or even try to see the product, we again retarget those people and show the ad. So this is what we do for shopping content. Try to show the product and then make sure you buy the product or even generate a lead for us.
So Leonardo, you don't necessarily have buy buttons at the beginning of the process.
It depends what you're doing. If here right now on this one, we do have it because you want to sell it. We don't have actually a campaign or like a content that you are running. We're actually running to sell the product online. But like the other brand that we showed before, we do not have the buy button at the beginning because you want to make sure people know the brand, they see what's going on when the Fashion Week in Paris, and then after that, yes, we do have all the ads and everything is going to be something that they have to not have to buy it, but we want them to buy the product.
Okay, that's a great example of the engagement piece, and then after you are engaging them, getting them to buy. What else, my esteemed panelist friends? Share with me some more examples of shoppable content. What makes it shoppable?
Do you want to go first, or?
Well, yeah, I can give an example. So for my event company, when we first launched it, we were utilizing drone shots of different wedding chapels and drone shots of venues that were beautifully put together and putting that into a Facebook news feed so that basically you could click on that and you can go to a landing page and actually have a live call with a wedding planner. And we did that way because the bride, in my opinion, usually only cares about where she's going to get married initially. So we targeted her basically utilizing these drone shots. So she was like, oh, that's a really beautiful drone shot. And then she'd click on a button on it and says, book now. And basically talk to a wedding planner like really on demand with a live video call. And then the wedding planner basically just took care of everything and did DocuSign.
Did you have on the landing page, did they could talk to somebody right away?
Yes.
And you had someone available to take the phone call, or what do they get, like an email notification and call right back, or what? Or is like set up like a live call?
No, we had someone who was taking the call.
Sounds great. Very interesting. Anybody else have any other? Anthony, I think you had something. And
No, I think you wanted to say something as well.
So I actually being like, you know, when we market for a lot of restaurants and a lot of hotels, it is something similar to what Leonardo showed, right? So you see all these videos of all the food, the restaurants, all these engaging content pieces that come across your feed all the time, right? So that is something that initially it's about awareness that we create. It's about reaching out there to the people, trying to communicate what your brand is about. And then eventually it leads to conversions. It is how you get them hooked onto your particular content piece that they want to come back to experience what is it that you actually have to show. And I think that is extensively used in the industry that we all belong to. And I think that is what eventually leads into conversions, because they might want to go to that particular restaurant today, or they might want to just save it or share it with a friend and probably visit there on an occasion, on a day of occasion. So I think that is something that eventually leads to a conversion in a way. So I feel that is something that that's very crucial in the kind of industry that we're in.
Yeah, and on my side, or at least on the advertising and data side, the way we go about it is we collect a lot of interest, intent, in-market, behavioral, and demographic data, and also transaction data. And what we do is we combine it all together and tie it to some kind of user ID that's privacy compliant, and then create audiences, like let's say you're in market for a car, or maybe something simpler, like you're very much into t-shirts and clothing. We can then send those audiences to whatever platform. It could be social media like Instagram and Facebook, or even TikTok, right? Or you can send it to what's called buy-side platforms or demand-side platforms, where you can use those people and target them on any inventory source. So if your goal as a brand, which most brands do today, is to get someone to buy their product in as easy and as direct of a way as possible, this helps influence that without having to need to continuously learn more about that user when you already have that data and historical information to back it up. So the applications are endless, and a lot of companies and brands in general are trying to add e-com to their mix, but that's probably the best way to go about it.
Awesome. And I know, Karna, you have some ideas about user experience and how to make it visually appealing, I believe.
Well, one of the things that I would say, even like looking at, if you want to scale, looking at your examples there, when you were saying that, well, users can kind of like click on a picture or something like that. But what if, like, for instance, you said when you first show it, they can't purchase it. So how will they know how to say that, oh, I like this piece, but you're not actually selling it at? Is there a way where they can save it, maybe come back to it, so that, so it'd be easy for them to kind of like manage?
Yes, they can save the
Yeah.
post and go back and buy it, or they can go to the website and try to buy it, looking for the you have a code for the product. They can do that, but for that specific campaign, they cannot buy it. It's not online yet because you want them to look for the product, not find it, and come back, and then we're gonna sell it.
Oh,
We
okay.
try to create this momentum that that thing that you want to buy it, but you cannot buy it. That's what Apple and all big brands do it. Like they launch a new product, you have like go to the pre-list to buy it. They launch the new iPhone. You cannot buy it right now. You have to wait for 3 weeks or 4 weeks to buy it. So pretty much that's what we're doing right there.
So can they like save it as a favorite or
Yes,
hold off?
yes,
Or,
yeah.
Okay. Okay. Cool.
Now you're the moderator. Does anybody have anything else they'd want to add about examples of how to create a shoppable piece of content? Okay. All right. What are some of the barriers to shoppable content? What would prevent someone, or what kind of content would not be shoppable? I guess that might be a good example.
I feel like you have to create a sense of emergence with the content, basically to invoke an action. If you don't do that, then you have to implement like remarketing, where you're remarketing them through different other avenues and using content that's a slight deviation of the first one.
I think any content is shoppable. Yeah, because, I mean, think of the technologies you have today, like QR codes, user-initiated buttons on videos, or like on YouTube, for instance. Even Instagram. Like I myself am a sucker for any targeted ads to me, especially when it's like cool gadgets or technologies or even clothing, right? Like using the same examples as before. But yeah, anything can become shoppable, and you're seeing that rise in the industry, and no matter what industry you're in. Like just take a look at like retail media networks. I don't know if any of you are familiar with retail media networks as a term, but every retailer is trying to create a media network for advertising so they can get more people to convert.
I'm not sure what you mean. Tell me more. Tell me more.
Oh, okay, so retail media networks are basically a way for any retailer to serve ads or to give insights on people's shopping behaviors to brands, let's say, right? So if I don't know, like, sorry, I'm not into like luxury clothing, but but let's say like, I don't know, like Louis Vuitton wants to find more insights about, people who buy their brands across different, retailers. They can match that data together and then say, okay, what's the best way to start targeting those users across other inventory sources and so on. Or the retailer himself can actually create their own closed ecosystem to then upsell certain existing customers, for instance, and so on. There's a lot of valuable data. Again, it's in a growth market right now, but they're still having challenges. But like, it's basically a way to say, hey, all of our shopper insights and customers or CRM data, et cetera, is accessible now in a privacy compliant way. So I keep saying privacy compliant because data privacy is on the rise. And it's always evolving, but you have to make sure that the user's consent is actually at the forefront of any decision making.
Oh,
Awesome.
just wanted to piggyback on what he was saying, because you said, I guess now with the algorithms, like say like you were in a process of you wanted to buy a car, and you said you wanted to buy what happens is all these ads will come up about different Mercedes brands, where you can go and all that stuff like that. And it's like they kind of like model of what the way of your spending habits or what you want. So that's pretty much the piggyback on that. Yeah.
Yeah, so I sell a lot of, or I work with companies that sell complex sales. So they're working with companies that are buying big tech stacks or services, things that are expensive monthly things. And so we're not doing a lot of retail. It sounds like most of you are doing retail, to most like products. Okay. Yeah, so in complex, how many out here, raise your hand, are you doing, let's just say, products or like smaller sale products or larger sales, complex sales? So who's doing complex sales out there? Okay, couple. Who's doing more product sales? Nobody's raising their hand. Okay.
Or it could be service oriented.
Yeah, service oriented. That's what I mean. Like complex sales could be
Yeah.
service.
Selling services.
Right. So in that, so how I do shoppable content is I don't normally have buttons to buy now or anything, but I'll have a lot of inbound links. So when you're reading a piece of content to get them to go to somewhere else, which has a lot of value to it. And then we're talking about linking off to landing pages, a page with a form. So we need to find a way, how do we make this content more engaging to get them to want to click on it? So I guess, I don't know that we talked about that specifically. How do we make the content engaging enough to want to click on it? I mean, we're talking about content. Everybody has content, and it's very time consuming, and it can be a little bit of expensive and an investment to create this content. And not every single piece of content is going to perform. So we know that for sure. Some are going to flop, and some are going to do great. So let's talk about that a little bit. Let's talk about how to make content engaging and interesting. And like, is there any specific content that works better to make it more shoppable than others? You know what I mean?
Well, I can take. From a UX perspective, I think what probably would sell is your design, your layout, having like buzzwords and things like that, not like big long stuff that they have to read, because I don't know, that turns me off, especially if I'm on social media or something like that and someone has a one-page something that I have to read that's long and drawn out. I don't really like those things. I like bullet points, get straight to the point of what it is that I was like, oh, okay, I'm interested. So I think in things like that would kind of like help. And you mentioned clicking. From a user perspective, just as long as they don't have to click too much to get to your product. If they have to do like 4 and 5 clicks, then they might be disinterested and go someplace else. So make it quick and easy and simple.
I think I can add something to that point. The thing is the kind of data that we consume every day. We have so much content that's pouring into our feeds every day. Like within like a minute, we end up scrolling through so much content, right? How do we know what is it that's going to interest us at the end of the day? Because we're just scrolling through. So it's actually, I feel that it's within the first 3 seconds of anything that we witness, we view, that catches our attention. So I think those first 3 seconds need to have that hook. Like it needs to be creative in such a manner that it grabs your attention and you're just like, wait, I want to watch what's more to it. So I think that is something that needs to be really important, and also about the user experience, right? If it's not interactive enough, if it's not simple enough, people are going to move on because that is something that they don't have time for today. So that's that.
What we do actually to understand what is a content, what's that content became engagement, we always try different, I would say 15 to 20 assets with reels, videos, posts on Instagram, and to make the ads, see which ones perform best, and then replicate that. So that's when we understand, oh, this is engagement content, we can keep using that. We usually do a 15 days window that we check which ones are performing best. The ones that are not performing well, we stop those ads and then we create new ones. So it's more about our testing to see which content is working or not. That say, oh, a video is best or a post is bad. We don't know until we test it. So it's more about testing the content and see what's going to convert. Then I think this should be a video, this should be a post, or should it be TikTok or unboxing. So it's more about testing A, B, C, try to do everything to see which one's going to perform best.
Yeah, that's what Gary Vee talks about. He said he creates so much content, but he says he doesn't. They don't put money on anything until they test it out first. So you have to test it out. But what you're saying is you have to create a lot of options.
That's what we did that's what we're doing for those brands that I show you guys. We are testing, we are showing a lot of content organically, we're not spending money on it to see which one's gonna perform best, and those ones gonna become a few ads that we're gonna start selling the products. So that's why right now we don't have the buy button right now, because we're testing everything organically to see, oh, this is performing very well, so we're gonna use that as ad. So that's what we're doing.
Yeah, we got to check your numbers.
And
I
you
think
should-
Anthony wants to jump in.
I was gonna say you should think about using AI to do analyses and create profiles. Yeah.
You use AI to see which creatives are performing best, how are the numbers. It's hard to see with a person see the ads and say, oh, this is the best way, this is one you should use it. So we have to have like an AI, and we have to have a lot of analytics checking that. So that's what we do it. Yeah.
What do you mean use AI to check that? Tell me more about that.
So, no, no, I was gonna say like a lot of companies are actually like testing this out and delving into it, creating like a closed ecosystem, if you will, of all the data they have available based off, like for instance, if you have all the data about people interacting with certain ads or your content themselves, and you're able to tie it to like that user, for instance, you can create a profile or profiles like them and say, based off of the most recent behaviors, I can hit them up in milliseconds with like another ad that's relevant or another piece of content that's relevant. But it's just making it more effective and efficient than
Is there
it
like
was
a
before.
tool, a specific tool?
Any AI tool. that
Any
you-
AI
yeah.
tool, okay.
Or your own homegrown one if you're using like a open AI extension or.
You just put the data in there from your reports and ask it to build a
You can-
persona?
You can
Yeah,
actu-
just like
yeah.
persona. You can actually put in like what you want this demographic to be, and what to kind of like get a perspective. I actually did some work like that for my doctorate. So yeah.
Yeah, you create a dashboard and then tell us what you wanted, what kind of information I wanted with KPIs I want to check. So it's going to create for you, and then you just check it and use it as a tool.
Yeah, so basically I do a lot of work with TikTok. So I'm basically trying to build like a system that actually switches shots around in different AI generated content, and so we can figure out and do like dynamic A/B split testing off of which content is actually performing the best by looking at the raw data that's coming out from the TikTok API.
I'm just curious here about, I'm thinking about for small businesses. How many out there raise your hand if you're like a small business? Awesome. How about if you're like a medium or bigger business? Everybody else, okay. It's just that, content creation and all these things are pretty complex. I mean, it's a lot. So budget-wise, is there a limit or like a what would be the lowest level of budget that you would need, do you think, to be successful in creating shoppable content that can actually convert some customers for you? And is there a difference, would you know, between like a smaller retail widget sale versus a complex sale, like in terms of budget? Let's talk a little bit about the budget.
Well, I think if you utilize something like Sora, you don't really need to spend that much. Sora is all prompt driven. You can literally just get the Sora $200 a month plan and then just start generating from there. There's also Midjourney that's really good as well. But like the best way to do any sort of like prompts for any AI generated content is you first start off with a very verbose prompt, and then you have to keep breaking it down all the way to its base form. Because what AI will do is AI is actually going to screw up a lot initially, and then you'll have to do that anyways.
So is this mainly just asking the right questions to get the right answer? And sometimes it takes time. You have to just fool around with it a lot. No, not quite what I wanted. Yeah. And then you plug something else back in. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, that's spot on. So, yeah, you just have to play around with it. Because a lot of it, with AI, you probably can do it, just on your own. Like he said, playing one of those services and then just using that. Yeah.
I can't speak for my current company, but I can speak for past companies I worked at. But you have to fight for that budget depending on what department you're in.
Yeah.
So if you're like, let's say, a news publication, you're always going to fight for the user experience as being your number one priority. So that majority of time wins the fight. Whereas like marketing budget might go down a little bit, but the UX and user experience teams get those budgets. But yeah, it just with AI, it should save a bunch of costs, but you also need to train your employees on how to do that, which is probably the hardest battle because you're gonna hit that resistance of like, okay, that fear, am I gonna lose my job from it, or is it gonna make my life easier? It's still that uncertainty there, but at the end of the day, AI will save you some money, not all money, but usually the budgets don't tend to be that big of a problem on that user experience front.
I would say that the budget I would divide in two ways. One for brand awareness, try to grow your brand, and then the other one you spend on ads to try to sell that service, product, whatever you have. Because if you get all your money and put on Shoppable or try to make people purchase your product, they're not going to buy it because they don't know your product yet. So you have to kind of balance, I would say 30% of brand awareness and 70% of selling and doing ads. And then talking about how much it is depend how much you have. It's not about, there is not a minimum, I think. It's all about how much your brand, your company has to invest it in marketing, because marketing is, we think, no, it is an investment, it's not a waste of money. So if you have the right people working with you, you're gonna get results, and then I think that's, you should think about your budget, just split in the right way. You should get a lot of good conversions.
And I think to add on to that, we also deal with a lot of clients where they have restricted budgets and they want the best of output, but they are not willing to spend that kind of money, which is where obviously that approach of pushing through brand awareness and also running ads helps. But what we also do is we try to rope in the PR point of view. Like we try to do a lot through barters. We try to use as much as we can. For example, say even influencer marketing is something that helps extensively. We try two kind of approaches. One is the traditional way, wherein we do invite people who are the regular clientele, because that is something that people will believe in. Because today, every second person is an influencer. So that becomes, again, a difficult thing, as you know, because half of them are paid, half of them you go through barter. So how many products does an influencer actually vouch for, and how much of it is genuine, right? So that is one question that comes about. But I think this is another approach that could be taken, because this is what we do. And it balances out the restricted budgets that clients might have.
I do have an idea.
I just think we just need to think about the learning period that it takes with a new product.
Yeah.
Usually it takes on average 2 to 3 months for you to get enough data to work with. And then also you'd want to find an agency or just someone who's going to start small on what works and then iterate and then rinse and repeat. Because you don't want to spend a lot, you just want to test.
Well, that's great. That leads me to the question I was thinking about as you're talking. What skills, people have small companies, and do they hire an agency or do they hire someone to come in?
Yes.
I'm all about,
Yes, definitely.
we're all
Yes,
going to tell you to
definitely.
hire an agency. We're all going to say that. But realistically, an agency makes sense from our perspective because we know how complicated this can be and how much you need to know to do it. And so to hire one, you're going to hire one marketing person because you're small and think that they can do all these things. They're just not going to be able to. So let's talk a little bit about like the skills you need to do this work, and maybe the time investment. Is this a full-time, every day, all day long thing, or could you do it part-time? Like, what are you thinking about the skills and the team, or working independently, internally, or with an agency? Anybody have comments on that?
I think you have to have both. The clients that we work, they always have a marketing team inside, and they also use an agency to make sure we are talking to someone that actually know what we're doing, that talking to someone that is not familiar with the marketing. But if you don't have the money, I I recommend hiring an agency because the agency have a lot of people that will be able to help you. That instead of you have one person inside in-house that they're not gonna be able to do it. Have a video, have content, and data analysis, making ads. I mean, there's a lot of things. It's not a thing that you're gonna do one day. It's a full-time job, and the agency will have a lot of people that can help you with that. So I would recommend that you have an agency. Even if you don't have the money, you're probably gonna find an agency that can help you.
Oh, one other way what you could do, like with the piggyback off of what he was saying, if you get an agency, maybe you could possibly have that agency when they come in, you know, to make some changes within, and they could train your employees on how to do things, and that might help too, you know.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
do that. We love
Yeah.
doing that. Train
Yeah.
the trainer internally.
Yeah.
So I'm going to do like, not the devil's advocate, but another angle. You're going to see the rise of a lot of technology that's going to make a self-service model for certain things.
Yeah.
And I'll give an example that we execute at the full-time gig I'm at now. But there's a company called Streamer.ai. It's STREAMR. And we've actually incorporated into our advertising suite so that any small business can go in and create an ad in seconds with Gen AI. So what it does, it looks for your business's location, and then it scans like a lot of the internet and like Google Images and so on, and then auto creates this like Gen AI ad with a voiceover and a QR code to like an offer or a menu or whatever the case might be. You'll see a lot of that for the players who can't afford agencies, but it's only gonna accelerate that like pretty quickly to become an in-house or in-agency type of tool as well. Not that company in particular, but you know, technology like that.
Yeah.
I just have one thought. I think it also has to do with how much money that you have, basically how much runway you have. If you want to go fast, you go with an agency because an agency has worked with similar type of clients in similar industries, and they have a lot of data to work off of. But if you go with an individual, they don't have that data. They have to
Yeah.
learn unless they have specifically done a project like that. So if you want to go fast, you go agency, in my opinion. But if you are okay with just bootstrapping it, you just find someone really qualified on like Upwork, like
Yeah.
5-star reviews.
Yeah.
When if our friends out here decided they needed some additional assistance to create more content or make sure that their content is being successful, you know, there's so many agencies out there, and I have seen really horrific stories where people pay like buco bucks and they get nothing from it, and then I try to come in and try to sell, and they're like, well, I'm not doing that because I already wasted money. Like, how do people know who to trust?
Now that's a loaded question.
It's a gamble
Yeah.
anywhere you go.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's pretty much a gamble. I mean, just like when you hire employees, they do well on the interview, and you know, you think, oh, this person is going to be awesome, but then when they come in the door, they're not really doing the work, and they're not, you know, giving you what you need. So, I guess just by word of mouth references, you can actually look at that and hopefully get the best results like that. Like he said, 5 stars. I mean, yeah, just look to see how many other people that they worked with and see what people are saying.
Yeah, I think there is a lot of good business, bad business out there. So I think it's more of, again, trying to connect with the agency, see how much or what they can deliver to you. I mean, it's hard, or again, if someone's referred that agency, talk to them and work with them. I think that's the best one. But it is hard to say, you know, there's a lot of bad agents there. There's a lot of good agents there. Is just if that a connection with I think that is more a connection with the agency and the client and the business. That if it's a good agency or a bad agency. I think sometimes there is a lot of good agents that they have a new business they cannot work with, they don't have experience with, and then that then becomes a bad thing. But at the end of the day, I think it's hard to say what trust or not. It's just more of trying to see and connect with a good agency.
Well, I think what you can also do is just don't get yourself into bad terms with the agency. Do a month-by-month relationship.
Yeah.
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 And make sure that you have like a 15-day period that you can actually get out of the contract. that's really needed because
Like a money back guarantee.
Termination
if you're in
clause.
a 6-month relationship, if something goes wrong, then you're stuck for that whole period, right? So it's kind of like test the waters.
I wanted to add something here. I mean, there are a lot of agencies. Of course, we know that there are a lot of agencies, and there are times that you might work with a really good agency, but your product might be something that they are not aligned with. And that is when even a good agency might not give you the kind of results that another agency could. So I feel understanding of the product is extremely important. And and of course, it's more of references that ends up working in industry, that I have worked with this particular agency, because they've seen results. And when they see results, they have like a trust notion that, okay, yeah, they've converted for us, they can do the same for you. So I think that is something that works pretty much in the industry that we're in.
Yeah, I would. My 2 cents would be, there's a lot of different agencies that do so many things. They specialize in very different things, and so as a business owner, it's really difficult to understand what agency service do I even need. Do I need like an SEO specialist or an advertising specialist? It can be really, really hard. So I like to tell people to pick. You need your strategy has to come first, and they're talking about the other session about understanding what capabilities you need. So, and if you're not even sure, I would start with hiring a strategic consultant first to help you map out exactly what your business is trying to do and what kind of sales and marketing services you need, and then you can really hone in on your agency partners from there. And then, of course, checking references, and we know all that. I love your idea about making sure to a 2-week trial. So I started for a little bit. Our service is like $3,000 to $10,000 a month, and we do HubSpot onboarding. So at first I was just selling the onboarding package. And this is a good story because it's important. I stopped doing that because I can't just onboard you to this tool and then let you go because you don't know how to use it. You don't have anybody internally to use it. So now it's a subscription service. So you need to have me on your team to be, successful. And so thinking about that as well, are you going to do like a project base? Is that a one-time thing, or are you looking for an actual strategic partner? And I would encourage you to lean into more of the strategic long-term partner, because we love our customers. We want you to be successful. Your business is our business, and we're doing everything in our power to make sure you're successful, because that helps us, and not only you, but it actually helps us too. So we're invested when we come in at that level, just like an internal team member.
Shameless plug.
Yes, plug. But we're saying these things because we believe it in our heart of hearts, and we truly have our clients' interest at heart. I think we're at 3:44. We have any more time? Are we done at Okay. Does anybody have any burning questions they want to ask? Any questions? Well, let's. Oh. Okay, go ahead.
Your space is very hard. And also, yours is similar to health, because a lot of health companies, we work with one health company back in the days, and they have the same problem. We cannot post anything. We cannot use anything. Real estate also have a lot of boundaries to use it. It is just trying to see what Facebook and Meta doesn't put down, because pretty much everything you're gonna do it on that, they're gonna turn it down. So it's very hard to tell you something. Google Ads, I think, also is not gonna work for you. Everything should be organic, pretty much. Try to use TikTok. Maybe TikTok right now is not that, doesn't have that many boundaries, so that still be the case. And make sure your content is not talking about cigar. It's talking about something else, but you show the product in the video. That's a way to do
That's
it.
a good idea.
Instead of showing, like, say, hey, this is, you know, a cigarette you can buy and you should smoke.
Yeah, don't say that.
Make someone, show someone at the beach or like with a cigarette, or maybe in Vegas playing some games, and then maybe games, not games, but something else, because games might get you down also. But yeah, show something that is not related to that, but you can connect your brand to that content. I think that would be an easy way to do it. No problem.
I second that, yeah.
But we have a number of, like the cigar bars that they have. Maybe you might can kind of like channel and see how they like advertise and things like that. We do have a lot of that in Atlanta. So yeah, if you can kind of like channel and see what they do to kind of like get the word out, you know, yeah.
Well, I think we're at time, and I appreciate everybody's inputs. And all of us are in the magazine, so if you wanted to connect with anybody about shoppable content, how to get more engagement on your content, more lead conversions, let us know. We're here to help. Enjoy the rest of your conference.
Yeah, thank you, everyone.
Thank you.